Good day, and welcome to SC Thrive's forum, Financial Health Matters. I'm George Rice. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us on our Mental Health Matters forum. We hope you will join us the second and fourth Thursday at 11:30 a.m. for new topics and conversation. We want to tell you a little bit about the mission statement of SC Thrive. We are SC Thrive, a nonprofit organization that leads South Carolinians to stability by providing innovative and efficient and effective access to quality of life resources. Today, we will be talking about our financial health and how it affects our mental health. 85% of Americans report feeling some level of anxiety around money. Financial anxiety shares many of the same symptoms as generalized anxiety disorder, otherwise known as GAD. It's an anxiety disorder that comes with irritability, worry, and difficulty concentrating. But the American Psychological Association doesn't recognize it as an official diagnosis. While money cannot create happiness, a lack of money can contribute to many physical, mental, and emotional, as well as psychological problems. Researchers conclude the likelihood of having a mental health problem includes depression, anxiety, and psychotic disorders. People in debt are more likely to experience problems with substance abuse. People who complete suicide are 8 times more likely to be in debt. This next slide shows the cost of financial stress. On your left, you'll see that 71% of employees say they suffer from some type of financial stress. On your right, you'll see that 53% of employees say that it has some effect on their ability to focus and be productive at work. On the bottom, you'll see that the most common symptoms include irritability, anger, nervousness, anxiety, lack of motivation, fatigue, being overwhelmed, and depression. A slight decline in mental health long before you would ever meet the criteria for a diagnosable mental illness can be linked to increased financial stress. And increased financial stress can lead to poorer mental health. As you see these different variables before you, there is no one direct cause of or effect which comes first. A person can enter the cycle at any point, and once in that cycle, it can be very difficult to remove yourself from that cycle. People who are experiencing physiologic pain will do almost anything to get out of it, even if that means going through some type of hurt more in the long term. It's one of the reasons that retail therapy is out there. Buying something now, whether it's a new pair of shoes or a car you can't afford, will give you momentary pleasure in the same way that substance use will give you momentary pleasure. It'll help you feel good in the moment, but it causes long-term problems. Both will likely lead to greater financial distress in the future. This slide helps us understand that depression and anxiety from the financial distress can also decrease your ability to sleep. A decline in mental health often leads to poor quality of sleep, increased feelings of fatigue, and more trouble staying on task. It can be hard to think about your grocery list. It can be hard to think about your future and what you're experiencing today. It can also help and unfortunately interfere with your ability to maintain a good balance of mental health. Usually the worse you feel about yourself. Low self-esteem can cause a person to buy expensive items in an attempt to project an image of success to the outside world. All of these things make it much more difficult to make decisions, plan ahead, and think about paying off debt let alone taking action on it. It's hard to create a plan for a bigger overall picture when you aren't in the right state of mind. It can make organizing your financial situation feel like an uphill battle that you're not equipped to fight. When it feels like your life is spinning out of control, especially your financial life, it can affect your mood. It can affect your thoughts, your work, your relationships. You may even lose hope for a brighter future. Who wants to save for a big purchase or put money away for retirement or emergencies when it feels like it's beyond your control? It may even make you feel like the only thing you can control is your ability to buy something right now. When you've lost a sense of control over your life, it also makes you more likely to avoid problems instead of tackling them. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to tackle a stack of unopened bills or call credit card companies, mortgage companies, or utility companies to address late payments. Sitting down to create a budget can create high anxiety, and it's often painful to face the facts. It's much more tempting to avoid these sorts of issues. A lot of people practice self-care. We need to relate money to the same way we practice self-care. Barry Tesler, author of The Art of Money, recommends scheduling time to address finances, setting a money date with yourself or with your partner if your issue involves him or her. Money dates with yourself can focus on immediate actions like contacting an accountant or learning about a new bookkeeping system. Money dates with your partner can be more personal. Start by sharing some money stories and family histories. Then move on to discussing values and how they show up in the way you save, spend, or invest. The goal of these conversations is to help you understand each other's feelings about money, an important step towards getting on the same page. And while we're talking about conversations, some of you have sent in some chat items, and we're going to reach out to Eva. Eva, what are some of the chat items that people have brought up?
Most people have brought up that they experience retail therapy, maybe doing a big sale, or especially when the bargains are out. But one thing to remember is that you want to keep it in moderation, and you want to set a dollar limit so you don't go over what you've already planned that you're going to spend.
That's really big. One of the things that we're going to mention later on is buyer's remorse. And I've been one of these people that on Sunday would pull out all the advertisements and look at things and jump out and buy and go buy something. And the next thing I'd walk into the house, my family might look at it and say, what are we going to do with that? So while it might look good on the front end, it's a little tough when that bill comes due or everybody wants to know, what are you going to do with that? To get out of the cycle of mental health and financial strain, start paying attention to your emotions and how your body reacts when you discuss money or when you make financial decisions. How do you feel when the checking account balances? Then how do you feel when the checking account doesn't balance? Try to bring more awareness to the emotions and patterns in your body and mind. We spoke about this in our last forum about body, mind, and soul. If you have a physical reaction to money conversations, sweaty palms, or a racing heartbeat, kind of like me right now going through this forum, acknowledge it. Consider what is triggering these feelings. A body and mind check teaches people how to step to the side and be able to observe and witness more of what's going on, so we're not so consumed with it. It teaches us to work with our emotions instead of being our emotions. Addressing financial anxiety includes both exterior and interior actions. Exterior actions involve taking steps to create a budget or decrease debt, and may involve hiring financial professionals. We spoke about this in the last forum about reaching out to somebody and for help. It's perfectly fine to reach out to a financial professional to help you with the items that you're facing. Interactions may involve conversations with a support group, therapist, or trusted friend. Achieving financial goals is not just about the numbers on a spreadsheet. The numbers on the spreadsheet are a product of your behaviors and emotions, attitudes, and thoughts that drive those behaviors. Remember that whatever your history with finances, managing money can be learned. And I'm a case of that. Over time, my wife and I have worked together, and we have learned how to better manage our money. These are some of the items that we have, some of the resources that you can reach out to, and they will be available throughout our presentation. Again, I mentioned earlier about our COVID-19 emotional support hotline. We talked last time about Headspace. It's a great meditation app and one that you can reach out to. We also have forums like Alcoholics Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery, and Smart Recovery. Eva, do you have one other item?
I do. It's also a good thing to look and see what coupons are available throughout the newspapers on Sundays, as well as coupon apps. That can help with some of the costs, and it will decrease the impact on your wallet as well. Some people have chimed in on the chat with they use Ibotta, which is an app. Some people also use Receipt Hog. Ibotta is an app that gives you discount as well as when you check out and you scan your receipt in, and it gives you money back. So that would be a good thing. Some people have also chimed in that they use Dave Ramsey and John Maxwell to help them. They use their ideas to help, as well as there's another app called Fetch Rewards.
Those are great points, and how helpful it would be to coupon clip every now and then. And some of the coupon clipping you can actually do online before you go to the store, and then it shows up when you check out. I want to introduce Brian Clark to you. Brian received his bachelor's degree in business management from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and has been a general manager with Office Depot stores for over 20 years. He and his wife, Lisa, have been involved in Financial Peace University for 10 years and are currently teaching a course at New Spring in Myrtle Beach, where they are both members of the finance program. He has 2 teenage daughters, one in college and one in high school. Brian loves helping other people to achieve financial peace and to start winning with money. Brian, it is so good to have you today, and we really appreciate you being on our forum.
Thank you, George. Glad to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in regards to finances?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, you spoke about me a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about Dave Ramsey, who I speak to and help facilitate classes from. So Dave is an author, and he founded Financial Peace University. My wife and I discovered Dave and started following him about 10 years ago, a little more than that. And so our two teenagers are on board, with his practices also. And it really is a life changer. It's about changing behaviors, which in turn really can change your life. We saw the opportunity to bring these classes to our church. So we partnered up with another couple, and we are coordinating those classes. We're really enjoying it and able to help people in big ways with just a little bit of our time.
And it's really huge that you involve your whole family so that the kids, as they grow up, it can become muscle memory for them to have good financial management.
It does. One of them is working on going through college debt-free, and That's the goal with both of them is, no debt, period.
That's huge. Could you share with us how someone best prioritizes their finances when they find themselves in a crisis situation?
Absolutely, and I've been there. I've been there not knowing what to do, and it's certainly a stressful situation. I think it's important to prioritize the necessities: your food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. Those 4 areas are key and should all be prioritized first. Beyond that, build an emergency savings with anything that you have left over, so that you don't have to go in debt if something arises. And if you haven't already done so, create a budget. That's the biggest foundation of all of the principles of financial peace, is creating a budget, and have a budget committee meeting with your spouse or an accountability partner, somebody that you trust.
That's awesome. It's really big to have that accountability person, and we spoke about that in our last forum about having that person that you can reach out to.
Absolutely.
We talked about earlier in our presentation about reaching out to lenders. What are some important things to know when reaching out to lenders when you're in a financial crisis?
Well, first of all, do it. It takes a little courage, but have the courage and do it. You have to have the conversation or you're not going to be able to get any help. So do contact them. And when you do, just be really honest with them and be respectful. They're people too. And the person on the other end of the phone is, people want to help each other, but you have to be honest. You have to be respectful of them and appreciate what they're doing, and ask them what they can do. See what they can do to help.
It really is. When you make that phone call, take a big deep breath, be patient, because you can just imagine the number of phone calls that person that you're speaking with may have fielded in one day.
Yeah.
Brian, earlier we talked about loan forbearance versus deferment, and we'd like to talk a little bit more about this. Can you go over forbearance and deferment?
Absolutely. So first of all, with either of these terms, which are unfortunately thrown around interchangeably, with either of them, it's incredibly important for you to speak with your lender individually and get the information and details directly through them in writing, because they can change. In general, both allow you to skip or make reduced payments on something, whether it's a mortgage or a student loan. In a forbearance situation, typically the payments are due in a lump sum once that period has ended. And that can be an incredibly stressful situation, just knowing that's coming up. So that can be, it can be a challenge. Just make sure you understand the terms. In deferment, the payments are very often moved to the end of the loan. So you're not off the hook in any case. I mean, banks and lenders are, they're in business. They're not out to give free money, but just be careful what actually happens to the interest, to the principal, and your next payments.
And as when we were preparing for this, Brian and I spoke about loan forbearance and deferment, and it may be good to have somebody else to run it by somebody, including your spouse, before you commit to that loan forbearance or deferment.
Yes.
What is some of the best advice? There's a lot of people that have received their stimulus check. They're waiting on their stimulus check. What's some advice that you have for them?
Oh, that's a great question, George. That's so important right now. So the money coming in for stimulus is there for a reason. It's there to help you pay your mortgage, help you pay your rent. If your income is stopped, reduced, or at risk, these should only be used for necessities. So we talked about the 4 basic areas: your food, shelter, utilities, transportation. So that's what the stimulus checks are made for. And it's very important to keep up with your mortgage or rent. Just like we talked about forbearance or deferment. Hopefully you don't go into a situation like that, but whether you do or don't, keep up with your mortgage or rent first. That's really important. Landlords, they're people too. They have bills to pay, and they're going to need their payments, at some point. So please just use them to pay the necessary bills and then save what's left.
That's great. That's a really important point. We do want to recognize Money Management International. They are SC Thrive partner. And our contact center number is 1-800-726-8774. You see that on your screen. And if you're calling about Money Management International, you can choose option 3. Brian, can you go back over the 4 priorities?
Absolutely. Dave Ramsey speaks to these during Financial Peace, but it's food, shelter, utilities, transportation. Not to be confused with eating out, new car, vacation place. Yeah, these are your basics, your 4 walls: food, shelter, utilities, transportation.
I really appreciate you bringing that up. We do want to let you know that Financial Peace University, right now, you'll see these different resources in front of you, but we do want you to know that Financial Peace University is offering 2 free weeks of subscription during the coronavirus epidemic. And I will tell you that my wife and I, we are just having gone through Financial Peace University. It has really helped us, and it's been a big part of us staying married for the last 30 years. It has really helped us a lot. Brian, what are some of the ways that consumers can protect their retirement savings during this time?
So retirement, that's another great question. Once I heard the only person that gets hurt on a roller coaster is the person that jumps off. My advice right now is don't do anything. That's the best course of action. Do not sell, do not take out your investments or try and move them around. Just hold the course. The markets will come back. I'm very confident of it. And just hold the course.
A great expression is, did you touch it? And then later on, why'd you touch it? You know,
Yep.
Like you said, don't touch it, just be calm. And we're going to get through this. If you could give one piece of advice to someone trying to get out of the mental health cycle, what would it be?
I would say reach out for help. Churches have a lot of resources available, usually individual financial counseling. Take advantage of financialpeace.com. Take advantage of those 2 weeks. Someone asked on there, Richard asked, are there any free sessions available? It's free 2 weeks of unlimited access to their resources. There are 9 classes, and they're about hour video that goes along with each one. You could technically sign up and do all of those right now. I can highly recommend it. I can't speak, highly enough. It really is a life changer when you do it. So take advantage of the resources that are available. We will all get through this. It's going to be fine. Just don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it.
And the great thing about engaging in those lessons with your family, just like you do with your kids, is it's sort of can break the monotony that you're going through right now. It can get you off of those news channels and other things that may be taking up a lot of your time right now. And if nothing else, it may reduce your anxiety and the anxiety of the people in your household. Can you speak to the debt snowball? Can you sort of, people, we have that vision of being at the top of a mountain, taking a little bit of snow, packing it together, and then throwing it off the mountain. And obviously, as it rolls, it gets bigger and bigger. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. So when you're going through Financial Peace, you go through the baby steps, and then you have step 1 is do anything you can to save up $1,000 emergency fund so you don't go back into debt anymore. Step 2 is paying off your debts, your non-mortgage debts, with a debt snowball. So if you list out every debt that you have in order from smallest to greatest in a list, not including your mortgage, you start to pay them off in that order. You take you make minimums on everything and pay off as quickly as you can the smallest debt. Then you take the money that was used to pay that and you add it to your next one. And then you take the money that was used to pay that, you add it to the next one. So it doesn't matter what the interest rates are, because this isn't about math. If it's about math, none of us would have any debt. It's about behavior, and it's about seeing progress, and that keeps us engaged and moving forward. So pay off your debt smallest to largest using the snowball method. And it's explained in great detail in the FPU courses.
One thing I do want to mention is every now and then you may want to check and look at your bank account, and also different applications you may be using where you already have automatic draws on your bank account or on a credit card. You may want to reassess those because there may be one that you don't know that's actually coming out of your money every month that you're no longer using.
Very true.
Eva, we have a couple minutes left. Are there a couple items, chat items that you want to bring up?
We want people to actively use the links. It has good resources. So please be proactive. We want you to be proactive and use the information that we're giving. And it puts less stress on you. So just remember to use the free credit report, use the Financial Peace University, use the Money Management International, and practice good money skills, especially in this time of COVID and the uncertainty. Please make sure that you spend your money accordingly.
That's huge. Please take a moment every so often and take advantage of that free credit report. That is so huge because there may be something on that credit report that it's like a dragging anchor, and so you may not know that it's actually affecting it. We want you to know that on our SC Thrive page, our Facebook page, SC Thrive Facebook page, you'll be able to see this recording again. We hope to make some of these resources also available to you online. We want to mention all of our sponsors. We're so fortunate to have them. We especially want to, again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to be a part of this program. And the last thing that we want you to remember is the statement that we brought up earlier, that whatever your history is, it's your history. You want to look ahead, don't look back, and just realize that finances and managing your finances, it can be learned. We can, even though, for instance, myself, I wasn't a good money manager in the past, and but working together, having an accountability partner, reaching out to some of the websites that we've talked about today, they can help turn your ship around for you and help you not only in your physical health, in your financial health, but also your mental health. Again, thank you so much for being with us today. Have a great week.